I would like to once again begin my speech today by extending thanks on behalf of the opposition team to my opponents, my partner, and our judges for being here today and making today's debate possible. Thank you, everyone. Now, I have 4 voting issues today, judges, for why exactly it is that the opposition team has won the round today. And I will hope to show through these points exactly why it is that the proposition team has failed to meet all requisite burdens for them to win today's debate. Now, I have the distinct pleasure of summarizing exactly what has happened, and my first point will touch upon a summary of what exactly has happened as far as the technical aspect of today's debate, the definitional arguments. Now, the one real problem that has carried through today's debate is the definition of what is personal privacy. Now, the proposition team wanted to define personal privacy as a person's openness, how much information is out there about them. But that's not really what personal privacy is. If I want to wear a t-shirt that says my blood type is A positive, well, that's my choice. But I start to lose privacy when the government comes up to me and starts searching through my computer with no warrant, with no just cause, and without even having asked me. That's when I lose personal privacy. Keep this in mind as I take the one and only POI.
You mentioned at the beginning of your speech that our definitions don't provide much infringement on the productivity of this debate. Why do you keep spending 2 to 3 minutes just trying to win definitional arguments if they don't even infringe the debate?
I said that our redefinitions do not limit you. I feel that your definitions, on the other hand, do not at all fit within the scope of what was intended for today's debate. For instance, personal privacy is not about people knowing that I'm wearing a purple shirt today, because by choosing to wear a purple shirt and walking outside in public, people are going to find that out. However, if the government goes into my room and finds out that I have 20 purple shirts lined up in my closet, that's when my privacy has been infringed upon. So keep this in mind throughout the debate, Judge. Now, you see, openness, as they have defined personal privacy, does not come in conflict with public safety. If I am open, that's not going to be a problem with public safety. However, if the government, as a result of wanting more public safety, is searching through my life, is coming into my private world, that is an infringement of my privacy, and that conflicts with public safety, which is why our definition is more valid for today's debate and ought to be used. Now, my second voting issue is if we look to the opposition case, there are 3 very distinct advantages to the value of privacy. Our first advantage is that 300 million Americans lose their privacy with no guaranteed benefit. The proposition team hasn't given one instance where Homeland Security has been successful. Why should I give up my right to privacy just because there may or may not be a terrorist attack impending? Until they can show us that Homeland Security prevented a terrorist attack, there's absolutely no reason to support the right of security when it doesn't actually provide it. Our second advantage is that it validates terrorists when we eliminate our own rights. Our third distinct advantage is that it's not effective. Even with all of these security measures in place, there have still been terrorist attacks, there are still drug smuggling rings, there are still human smuggling rings. There's still all sorts of heinous activities that go on, even with the gratuitous loss of rights that we have experienced. Now, if we move on to the proposition team's case, we see equally detrimental holes. Now, their first contention is that safety is a United States citizen's right. You have the right to safety. However, the only example that they could provide of this was from the Declaration of Independence, which was more like a thesis statement for an essay than an actual law that was passed. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, those are the most foundational, fundamental laws put in place in America anywhere. And those say that you have the right to privacy. They don't mention safety at all. Now, their other 4 points. Their second point was that cameras help things, but cameras aren't put up by the government. And that doesn't fit their definition because their definition of public safety was when the government protects United States citizens. A bank camera, though, is the bank's choice. Their third point is that, I'm sorry, I don't have time. Their third point is that privacy for criminals is decreased. However, it's legal to strip criminals of their privacy because after you've committed a heinous crime, you no longer have the right of privacy. Their fourth point was that it can help protect people, for instance, in hospitals. However, this doesn't apply to the round at all. When you're in a hospital, it's not the government that's looking up your medical history, it's your doctor. And he is not the government. He's not Uncle Sam, he's Dr. Sam. Now, the fifth and final point was that you sacrifice privacy all the time. However, it's about privacy being taken away, not when you give up information. That's not topical at all. So if we go to our fourth and final voting issue, if we look at this as a scoreboard, there have been 3 touchdowns on the opposition case and 1 interception touchdown off of the proposition case. And the proposition case has had 4 incomplete passes. So if you look at the score at the end of today's debate, it's 24-0. So I leave it up to you, Judge. Would you vote for a 0 or for a 24? Once again, thank you to everyone in the room.
And a pick 6 too.